So today, as we start our journey to writing our life story, my question for you is, why are you writing about your life? Are you writing about it because you have an amazing story to tell? Are you writing about it because you want your grandchildren to know what happened in your life? Are you writing it because you're retired and you need something to fill your time up with? Are you writing it because you feel like you're running out of time and you want to make sure it's completed? Are you writing it because the children keep nagging you and you just want to stop them from nagging you? Are you writing it because you want to write? And as they say, it's always best to write what you know, which is why I think a lot of people actually end up writing about their life story. It's a great story because we're emotionally involved in it and we know it quite well. So the plotting's already done. Everybody has their own reason for writing about their life. And everyone is as relevant as the next. It doesn't matter your reason for writing about it. What matters is that you remember your reason for writing about it, so that those days when you're sitting there thinking, I don't want to write, I'm going to go and do something else, you can tell, but I'm doing it for this reason. I want to get this finished. Just one more day. I'll just do one more story. It's no big deal. And then, of course, the next day comes and you write one more story, and then the next day, and eventually you've got 3 months worth of stories written and you've got everything covered in your life that you wanted to write about and more, and you're happy with it. So like I say, ask yourself, why are you writing about your life, so that you can motivate yourself and stay on track. I was asking myself this question too the other day. I have 2 answers really, if you're interested in hearing them. One is, the short answer is, because I'm fed up of thinking about it. I'm fed up of having all these stories going around my head thinking I should write them down now and just not getting around to it. So one reason, the short reason, is because I want to have more space in my head to do other things. I don't want to have the pull to go and write your story, go and do this, go and do that. I want to cross something off the list. Another reason is because although I've done lots of writing about my life in the form of personal essays and articles and everything, I have never specifically written my life story. Not in a standard narrative form. I have never written it like that. And to be honest, I feel a bit of a fraud. I've helped lots of people write their stories, never had the time to write mine. So how can I go out and tell people how to do things? I know how to do it. I've done it in different styles, but I haven't actually written my life story. So if somebody I'm helping says, where's your stories? Okay, well, yes, haven't quite got to them yet. So I want to complete the task. I want to get it done. My other short reason is the fact that I need a winter project. I am a full-time house sitter who travels around Australia, who spends most of their time in one of the hottest states, but is currently, due to COVID, stranded in one of the coldest states, in Tasmania. So basically my life is a bit different from normal and not quite as planned as usual. And there always has to be a benefit from that. So my thought is, make the most of the time I have here to get something done. Ideally something that doesn't involve me putting on 3 layers of thermals and a rain jacket to walk down the street. Something where I can sit inside and keep nice and warm and supply myself with endless cups of tea. So that is actually obviously the reason why I picked a 3-month project, because in 3 months' time we are due to move on to our next sit, hopefully, unless things get cancelled and moved around, as they tend to at the moment. But those are my short reasons. For anybody who wants to know the real reason, and the reason that is more ingrown and the reason that is deeper in me, it's a bit of a longer story. But basically, I immigrated from England 30 odd years ago. I left my entire family in England. I came over here and got married, and I'm happy to say we're still married 30 odd years on. But it does mean that I have none of my siblings or my family in the same country as me. We don't meet over coffee. We do have chats over the internet, but it's not quite the same as meeting somebody down the street. In the last 10 years, both my mother and my father have died, which means now that my older sister is the oldest person in our family, which is a bit of a shock when you actually think about it. All the stories my mum and my dad have are gone, except for the few notes that they've written, the stories they've put down. But everything else is gone. And there's nothing quite like that to make you appreciate how important it is to record your story for future generations. Now, if you take that and you add to that the fact that 6 years ago, I went to bed one night and woke up 36 hours later in hospital with no memory. I had no memory. The ability to speak was almost gone. I couldn't really walk. I couldn't recognise people. A whole load of brain damage things, due primarily to a seizure that had damaged the way I thought. Now, I had no warning. I didn't know I was epileptic. I hadn't had any seizures in my life. This was my first one, and I was already 50. So in many respects, I appreciate the fact that I was lucky. But the point of this is that you don't know from one day to the next what's going to happen. So having lost all our memories, thankfully, I'm pleased to say they're coming back slowly. They're not lost. They just need to float to the surface again. But if my children ask me anything about their grandparents, I have to go ask somebody else what the answer is. If they ask me anything about my childhood, 9 times out of 10, I have to ask somebody else to tell me so that I can tell them the story. I still have very few memories from the whole of my marriage. I have lost just about every memory of my raising my children, which, you know, it's like I say, it could have been a lot worse. The memories are resurfacing, but we don't know one day to the next. We really don't. And whilst it does come down to the fact that if somebody asks me something, I have to go ask somebody else, it would be really nice to know how I celebrated my 30th birthday without having to ask somebody. It would be really nice to know where I've been on holiday without having to ask somebody. It would be really nice to know what foods I can eat and what foods I can't eat. It would be really nice to know, I don't know, you know, all these little things. Like I say, I haven't lost everything, and funnily enough, I can still sing songs, not in tune, no more in tune than I could before, but I know the lyrics. I still know about writing. I still have that. I have the instincts, like I don't like that, but I have no idea why I don't like that. I want to go here, but I don't know why I want to go here. You know, it's, you look at somebody and you go, I know them. Can you tell me please why I know them? It's a very funny situation. But the point is, as I said earlier, we don't know one day to the next what's going to happen. Now, hopefully, I'm going to be around for another 10, 20, 30, 40 years. Fingers crossed. So I've got plenty of time for the memories to surface. I've got plenty of time to write them down. But have I? Have you? What changes? What can we guarantee? So this really is my reason for writing about my stories. It's why I'm hoping, actually, in fact, that by writing about my life stories, more things will surface. I'm hoping that by searching photos and going through records, that things might surface, which would be an added bonus, I have to admit. But wouldn't it be a terrible shame if we kept putting off our life stories? We kept putting off writing them, recording them in whatever way we choose, whether it's video or audio, and then not be able to record them. Yeah? It seemed to me quite a shame that that is even a possibility. And it's what makes me extremely grateful that my parents wrote down the stories, the articles that they did. They're not in depth. They are not complete, but they show who they are. They share parts of their life that we wouldn't remember otherwise. They're in detail, so they cover the specific things. Like, I remember in one of my mum's stories, she's talking about how much her father got paid and how many shillings it was. Now, we don't even have the same currency, so there's no comparison. But it gives an idea, it paints the picture, it gives some depth to things we read in the history books. And as you can probably tell, this is a topic that I am quite passionate about, which perhaps is why I've been helping so many other people write their life stories over the years, and why I could talk on it for hours. So it's also why I will stop now. You know why I'm writing my story. The question is, why are you writing about your life? One story, one reason, two reasons, big reason, small reason, doesn't matter. Like I say, the main reason is that you know why you are writing about your life story. So, having said all that, and no doubt waffled on a bit too much, I will leave you with that thought. And I look forward to discussing some more aspects about writing about your life in the next video. In the meantime, have fun with your writing, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.